network of armed groups, all vying for power and all unwilling to compromise. Gerald Tan, Al Jazeera.
Right, more now on our top story and the measures announced to fight the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Liberia is the worst affected country and it's having a devastating effect on the economy. Anna Cavell reports.
Motorbike taxis in the Liberian capital, Monrovia, are the preferred way to travel for a lot of people. But in the grip of a widespread illness, many are choosing to stay indoors, while others are forced to go out to work despite the risks.
I feel very bad because the Ebola have a lot of setback on us right now because people are not really moving like before.
Liberians have been advised to stay at home to avoid infection and the schools are closed. Prior to the Ebola outbreak, Liberia's government spent just over $100 per person each year on healthcare. But the severity of this outbreak has shown that amount to be inadequate, despite the recent foreign aid and resources that have come in.
Working with the IMF, the government has revised its growth projections to 2.5%. So fellow Liberians, our economy is in recession because of Ebola.
Analysts say the last thing Liberia needs is an economy in recession. The country has a population of 4 million, but fewer than 50 doctors, and healthcare facilities are overwhelmed. The US has pledged more money and resources.
The trend lines in this crisis are grave, and without immediate international action, we are facing the potential for a public health crisis that could claim lives on a scale far greater than current estimates and set the countries of West Africa back a generation.
The president of Liberia recently sacked 10 government officials for leaving the country and failing to assist with the crisis, a crisis that will cost an estimated $600 million. Anna Cavell, Al Jazeera.
Well, joining us now live from New York is Rossi Hassad. He's a professor of epidemiology. Thank you very much for speaking to us, sir. Before I ask you what you think of this plan announced by President Obama, he said today during his speech at the CDC in Atlanta that Ebola had now reached epidemic proportions. What does that mean exactly?
Well, what we have seen recently is a clear pattern of exponential spread, which means that this is going to get worse before it gets better. And that has been a steady trend.
Well, the first cases, though, were reported in January in Guinea. And since then, we've heard a lot of warnings, alarm bells have been going on and so on. Why is it that the cases have increased so drastically in the last few months, in particular?
Well, I have to say that there's quite a bit of uncertainty about the Ebola epidemic. This disease has defied basic principles of epidemiology in terms of its spread and response to treatment. And that's a huge factor that facilitated the spread, not to mention the resistance from various groups within Liberia, such as the villagers who had a high and continue to have a high level of mistrust and misperceptions pertaining to this disease, as well as the weak healthcare infrastructure of the West African countries.
Right. So what then do you make of this plan announced by President Obama today? Do you think it's going to be enough to reverse the trend?
I think it's a comprehensive plan, it's an impressive plan, and it is commensurate with the level and stage of this epidemic.
What about a vaccine, Rossi Hassad? Sorry to interrupt you, but what about a vaccine? Are we any closer to getting a vaccine against Ebola?
Well, there is one candidate drug that is being tested, and that was launched by the Glaxo Wellcome Lab. And we wouldn't have something before 2 months. That's the earliest I can see us realistically having any form of treatment, not to mention a vaccine.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking to us, Rossi Hassad, professor of epidemiology in New York there, joining